Welcome to a revisited episode of Shrouded Realities. Today we're doing a first thing that we've never done in history of the show, and we're revisiting an old topic because we've learned a lot since the first time we talked about it, and we think we could do it better, and we're going to put this one on video because the first time we did it wasn't on video.
Nope.
Well, to be fair, this was our first episode that we're revisiting, and we went back and listened to it and went, wow, that was horrible.
Yeah,
maybe we should do that again.
To be fair, I am more confused than I was before. So
yeah, I don't feel like I've grasped anything else, but maybe we should just vomit these words again and see if they come out better.
See what sticks.
See if they're stickier this time.
See if they're stickier.
See if our words are
Stickier
sticky.
words. I like that. Yeah.
Okay, so
stickers.
yeah, we're talking about Nephilim. We're not going to plug the stickers already. We'll wait till about halfway through.
Yeah.
Let Steven sell some stickers.
I'm already thinking.
Yeah.
Nephilim. Where they come from? Who are they? Found a bunch of different translations and thoughts on what they were, where they came from, who they are. Are they still here? Heard pretty interesting take
Depends
on
on
that.
what your definition of Nephilim are, I guess.
Yeah. Have your opinions changed since the first episode?
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
Okay.
And I do see after the research that we did for the first episode. So to be clear, the first episode we did the Watchers, which was the Book of Enoch. Fifth episode we talked about the giants, which were the Nephilim. So after we did all that research, studied on that stuff, and that was really the first time I'm speaking for myself and for y'all, I guess, but correct me if I'm wrong, but we really didn't know a lot about who the Nephilim were, who the sons of God were,
What their significance was.
what
Well, 'cause
fallen
it was
angels were.
It's a glossed over piece of Genesis to begin with.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times has most of us read through Genesis and just like, oh, okay, and just move past Genesis, easy word for y'all.
Yeah.
Genesis 6, 1 through 4, and just went, oh, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, not giving any thought to it. And this made us dig a little deeper into what maybe some of those words mean.
Yep. And then through that, we found a bunch of extra biblical text, ancient and new, that kind of helps explain.
Yeah.
And helps you kind of wrap your head around.
Well, it's extra biblical to some cultures. To our culture, it is.
find
Protestant
that-
cultures, it's definitely extra biblical.
You're talking about the Book of Enoch.
Yeah, Book of Enoch.
Yep.
Book of Wisdom touches on this a little bit, which is Catholic. Book of Sirach touches on it a little bit, which is more in the Catholic and Eastern Orthodox Bibles and stuff like that.
Okay.
So there are references that reference more into Enoch, but Enoch is also not in Catholic Bibles. You're really digging into Eastern Orthodox stuff for that.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, and see, I still don't. I'm still not confused, but just
I am.
unsure on what fallen angels and Nephilim are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of different translations, a lot of different thoughts on how those translations were meant to be portrayed.
Yeah.
You know, I'll read just for context, so kind of everybody's tracking. This is kind of where this talk comes from. Genesis chapter 6, 1 through 4. Now it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and the daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God, little s, sons of God, big G, saw the daughters of men, and they were beautiful, and they took wives for themselves of all whom they chose. So they picked the prettiest ladies, and they made them their own. Verse 3, and the Lord said, my spirit shall not strive with man forever, for he is indeed flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. Verse 4, here's the big one. There were giants on earth in those days. All right, different translations, even in English Bible, different translations of that word giant. Some of them say giant, some of them say Nephilim, some of them say Nephilim. Is it the same thing?
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Okay,
Nephilim, it's just if you tomato situation.
Yep.
Which if you say tomato,
Are you Italian?
That's weird.
Quit.
Yeah.
Potato.
Stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. All right, read that again. So the giants or Nephilim on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God, again, little s, big G, came into the daughters of men, and they bore children unto them, those were the mighty men who were of old, men of renown. That's New King James Version. Yeah, so that's kind of the first little hint that there were giants walking the earth, also translated as Nephilim. The question that came up with me through studying for this show in particular was, were those giants and Nephilim the offspring of the fallen angels, the sons of God, and women?
Yeah.
Or were they here before? Were the giants here before that procreation started happening?
Here's a thought I just had. I wonder, with the little, like, there's almost no context to what they're saying. They're just saying giant. So, I mean, there's two ways to look at it. It's either literally giant or figuratively giant.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It's like,
no,
no,
I don't know what you mean.
Like
Figuratively giant. What do you mean
like
by that?
they're big personality, big.
Yeah, it does say it says men of renown.
Yeah.
Like they conquer, they create.
Okay.
You know what I mean? They're figuratively giant compared to people around them.
I would say that there are, yes, I see what you're saying by that now. Like, these were prominent men, larger than life men, maybe in that time. But we do have context outside of just this verse of giants.
Where they literally give measurements.
Yeah,
of
where
people.
there's measurements of them, tall as cedars, that's in there. You've got, we were like crickets or grasshoppers to these, to these people. So,
got the measurements of Og's bed.
Yeah, which was like 18 feet long. So, I mean,
size of their spears.
It's
of course, someone who's giant is named Og.
Yeah, it seems
like a one-syllable name.
What's your name? Og.
You need to turn the deep voice on.
Yeah.
Og. But yeah, that's funny. I'd read that up.
But yeah, no, I mean, maybe that's what they're referencing. There's plenty of other confusion in this, so just throw some more in it. That'd be good. Yeah, appreciate that.
Right. 7,000 years later, I'm here just like,
Yeah.
Wait, were they talking about physical height here? No, they were talking about something completely different.
Easy.
Yeah.
So one of the people, experts, people a lot smarter than us that I watched that talked about this, he brought up a point that because it says there were giants on the earth in those days and also afterward, and then it talks about them boring children to the sons of God, that could mean that the Nephilim was already there before this
offspring,
what do you call it?
This cataclysm of angels and humans coming together.
This procreation that shouldn't have been happening, keeping it PG.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, where did they come from?
That's
were they a I guess creation would be the word, but were they a being on Earth before even humans would have been on Earth? And then we just kind of mixed in with them?
They were just a being that were here. See, that's tough because
right.
Then we have no explanation of where they came from at all.
Right.
There's zero explanation.
They just snapped into existence.
Yeah, I mean, were they created?
Was there a purpose
we
for
have
them?
We have no record of creation of these things. We have no before this verse, we have none of it. And this is going directly into the flood, which is to literally commit a water genocide against them.
Yep.
So how do you play that back and forth? I can understand an angel or an angelic being and a human procreating, that causing separation from God, because the watchers technically should have been here teaching us good things, guarding this, guarding us, those types of things. They kind of taught us bad things. So then they just went, oh, let's just have sex with women. And then I can see that causing a problem with God because that's not his creation.
Yeah.
I don't see God wiping out an entire creation of his like that with no record of what's going on.
Here's
You know
my
what I mean?
thought. Here's my thought. What if
Maybe that was soup. Maybe that was a soup sentence all the way around.
This,
But
this
yeah.
is going to be
Alphabet soup.
this is going to be a soup episode, by the way.
yeah, soupy, very soupy.
Just jump in. The broth's fine.
Yep. The broth is fine. The my thought, so when you think of a giant, like what are they good at? They're strong, they can reach at the top of the aisle, you know.
They can get to catch up
They
off the top
have-
shelf.
They have
true.
purpose in building things, right? So what if
You talking
they're
about pyramids?
I'm just trying look
Talking about
hold on.
pyramids?
Yeah, jumping.
What if
jumping the gun.
their only reason of being created was to help humans in that way of like building society
possible.
before leverage?
Yeah.
We because now what do we use to build stuff? Giant cranes, giant
Maybe.
equipment.
Yeah.
What if that
Mhm.
was the original
Mm.
intent of these things to help
But
build?
why would there be no record of that as far as we've got humanity creation? I mean, that's there. And then we just get a 2-sentence verse right here. of just
plop.
like, here they are. Angels had sex with women and Nephilim were here.
So the
end.
the end.
Like that's
Let's
literally
move
the
on.
conversation
Yeah.
right there.
one of the thoughts I heard on that was the reason that it's like that, and the reason there's no context to it is because when Moses wrote that, this was common knowledge. It'd be like
What
us,
was common knowledge though?
the Nephilim, who the Nephilim were, who the fallen angels were, and the early society. 'cause
Yeah.
they're not that far from it.
They're not that far
So-
from it, but they've all been killed except for Noah and his family.
Yeah.
Moses was after Noah, so
Mhm.
how does that doesn't mesh to me either?
Yeah.
Because the only people that lived were Noah and his family
Yeah.
after the flood.
Well, maybe that explains in those days and afterwards. So the Nephilim there were Nephilim around after the flood. So when Moses did write this,
They were already kind of
It-
social.
yeah,
That naturally brings another question that nobody has answers to. How? It was a flood, like
Yeah.
a global flood. So how are they still here?
Yeah, there's multiple thoughts on that. Another one there could have been another fallen angel scenario where they come down and make more babies. They try it again.
Seems pretty dumb.
Super dumb.
It's like, I don't think there's enough chains in Tartarus. Let's do it again.
Yeah.
Like, what?
And then the second thought is that the genealogical bloodline passed through in one of Noah's son's wives. So Noah and his bloodline was clean and pure.
Mm-hmm.
His wife would have been clean and pure, but his 3 sons took chicks with him. One of those chicks could have been, I guess, from unclean genealogy.
So now that's just bred out of humanity forever. I mean, I understand this was a long time ago.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
This just gives me way more questions than answers in just about every way.
Yeah. That second one though, that one more logically makes more sense to me.
It does. It makes sense.
Knowing how genetics works and recessive genes and all that mess.
The of that at that point is also a problem for me of just like, God didn't think of that. I'm going to wipe out an entire situation. And it's like, I didn't think about, she might have had some genetics there that.
Yeah. Well, God's will's perfect and good.
Exactly.
He knows it.
Uh-huh.
But who's to say that wasn't part of his will, was for that a little bit to be in there that did carry on for whatever his purpose was.
Whatever it truly was his will regardless.
Yeah.
I do understand that.
Yeah.
But wrapping my human pea-sized brain around it,
Uh-huh.
it's not there. I don't have it.
And doing it thousands of years later.
Yeah, thousands of years later with 2 sentences.
With a bunch of muddied
with
up.
2 sentences right here. And then maybe this is should have been part of the Bible. Maybe this one should. Maybe this one should. Maybe it's all fake. Who knows?
Yeah.
Not the Bible, but these
Right.
extra curriculars that we're throwing out.
Yeah.
The book of Enoch that's one of the questions that I've had is,
Still do.
should it be part of the biblical canon? Should we be referencing it? The Bible references it, which adds some credibility to
in
it.
2 different places. It references it in Jude. It references it in 2 Peter.
Mm-hmm.
Those are all in there. But
What about those other 2 Bible books you was talking about? Not Bibles, but books.
Book of Wisdom and the book of Sirach, I believe is what it is.
How much research did you put into this?
A little bit, not much. I really would like to read them before I get too in depth with that, because I mean, there are extra books in a Catholic. Is that a word?
Sounds
in
like
a Catholic Bible.
sounds like something you get when you can't pee when you go to the hospital.
Sounds
Yeah.
like a blood disorder.
Yeah, it does. Catholic. I've got
Sir,
the
you have
Catholic.
your blood's Catholic.
Yeah, I don't think that's actually it, but they call it something other than the Catholic Bible. They have their own name for it.
Yeah.
But in their Bibles, Wisdom and Sirach and some Jubilees, and there's a whole list of books that are not in our Protestant Bibles that we reference a lot. And there are mentions that would go back to Enoch, some in that. But it is a little bit drawn out to get to those places to be like, oh, well, if you look at Enoch, they use this word. And if you look at Wisdom, they use this word. And they're the same word. If you flip them upside down and you divide them by 4, then, I mean, it's just some of this weird stuff.
It's like comparing like Mein Kampf to like, to like a kindergarten book.
Yeah. It's got
they use the word the.
The is in it. You know what? You know whose favorite word the was, don't you?
Yep.
Yeah. So all of this would take so much research that a week is not really gonna answer a lot of it.
Yeah.
But
I mean, they haven't answered it after several thousand years.
that means we've got it.
That means we've cracked the code.
Yeah. We're sandbagging, guys. We've got the answer.
Yeah. Do you think we get those answers if we bring on someone that does spend time studying that stuff?
I think they might have an answer, but who's to say the answer's right?
Correct. Yeah.
Because every expert that I've listened to has a little bit different sway of this or a little bit different sway. And me and you talked about this earlier.
Yeah.
I've listened to 4 or 5 different people, and each time I'm like, well, that one makes sense. Well, that makes sense. Well, that makes sense. And they're all coming to different conclusions from the same conversation, and it's really hard to know what's real.
Yeah, I would like to pick Wesley Huff's brain.
I would too.
He got semi-famous on Rogan, and he debated a guy that
he's been on a bunch since then too.
Yeah, super smart dude. But man, just listen to that guy talk about the verbal. There's a word for it. The study of language.
That's it. Just say that.
The study of language. He's like super smart in tracing back different books, like, and the languages too, and how these words are used.
Well, he's going from a historical place really more than just the language side. I mean, he's telling you, well, this guy was doing this at this point, and that's why this makes sense, and that's why this makes. I mean, but who knows if that's right? I don't know.
Yeah.
It was 6,000 years ago.
All of it's dust now.
Yeah. Well, except for the stuff they found in the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Yeah.
Which this Book of Enoch was found in that.
Yeah, Book of Enoch was. Book of Jubilees was. There's another book too.
Wisdom, I think, was.
Wisdom?
I think there's a bunch of stuff that was found in it.
Okay.
Some of it's commentary that they think is just commentary book, which maybe that's what Enoch was.
Yeah.
Who knows?
You imagine like your whole lineage is you just like commenting on everything else.
Well, we have that today too, though. I mean, you have commentary books for, if you want to know about this verse in the Bible, you can reference it with a commentary book, and it'll give you different options and different things. And this is what the history of this was, and this was. And I mean, we have that today too.
Right.
But it is referenced in the Bible. The Book of Enoch is in a few different places. And that's where everybody, of course, kind of blows it. Well, it's in the Bible. They're talking about it here and they're talking about it there. So why is it not in our Bible? And I mean, it was lost until 1773?
Yeah.
3 years before America was founded is when they found it again.
It's interesting.
Yeah. So I don't know.
So what do you think? You think Nephilim? Where do you think Nephilim come from? Do you think they are the offspring of angels and chicks, or do you think they're
their own independent creation?
Yep.
That's a tough one. If they're using that word, I mean, is it like a blanket word?
Nephilim.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Could it mean several different types of beings that are giant?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I don't know.
So I listened to Dr. Laura Sanger. I really want to get her on the show. Super smart. Everything that she talks about in a lot of the podcasts is pretty much every single episode that we've talked about.
Yeah.
So I want to she would be like the smartest person on all the crap that we've talked about and the stuff that we've spewed. There's hope that she will come on. I seen on another small podcast that she said she likes doing small podcasts. So we're going to test that limit and see if she'll come to the smallest podcast.
Yeah. Can you do this for no money? $0. We're doing it like back in the old days, like for a handshake. You know?
I'll send you a sticker.
Yeah. So you're saying there's a chance. But she believes that Nephilim are still in this earth now.
I do too.
Like walking around or spiritually?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Both.
So she believes both.
Well, from what I gathered, and this is why I want to bring her on the show and ask her, is I feel like she believes that what we refer to as demons and demonic possessions and demonic type people, those are the Nephilim.
Agreed.
So,
I do agree with that.
Yeah.
I believe in the spiritual side of that these Nephilim that were killed or dead, which if you interpret Nephilim as giants, which I do, God even commands many people to like go wipe them out, men, women, children, all of them. And maybe these were the lost souls, or that's how a Catholic I heard describe it. They're the lost souls that are tormenting humans now.
Okay.
So maybe that's that option. As far as like physical giants walking around today, I feel like that'd be pretty obvious.
Yeah.
I feel like we could answer that question pretty confidently.
Maybe they got smart, was like, just start a basketball team. We'll never know. They'll never know.
We can't go back there. We can't do the Monstars again.
Yeah, I know. I want to go back.
That's a funny joke.
We've already done it, but we do need to resurface that. That was good. I forgot about that.
Yep. But there is like nowadays stories of giants, though. You've got the Kandahar giant in Afghanistan that killed American soldiers, apparently. Conspiracy theory.
We got a picture of that?
No, there's
a giant.
Complete conspiracy
like
theory.
You could probably we got them on us all the time.
Yeah.
Like cameras are pretty ready.
Unless the government that's run by evil people want to suppress that information and they take it out of circulation. And
but they show up on AI videos. They show up on AI videos on YouTube instead. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm out on that. Like, if there are giant people, like I understand there's some really tall dudes. Like, what's the tallest guy ever? I don't know. But is he like an evil guy that's out to,
No, most likely he's just a crippled dude.
He's probably just going to live half his lifespan that he normally should, and it's going to suck.
Yeah.
Didn't we just do an episode on a guy that could be described the same way you were?
What, Bigfoot?
Well, Bigfoot.
Maybe.
What if?
Maybe.
What if he is a demonic giant that...
Yet again, where I went in that episode... Why do we have zero evidence of it other than him throwing it in throwing stuff in creeks?
Because that happened. I stand by Bigfoot threw a rock in a creek to scare me away.
Go watch that episode if you don't know the reference.
There's a scary human. Rock.
Throw a rock at him.
I'm throwing a rock. Get away from me.
Don't hoid him. Just throw it at him.
But if he is a demonic Nephilim type creature that could possibly shapeshift and have ties to spiritual realms.
Yep.
That's why he doesn't have any evidence. That's why he's...
If I had the ability to shapeshift.
And I want to say I'm not believing anything that's coming out of my mouth. I'm just
You're
throwing out ideas. Throwing out ideas.
If I had the ability to shapeshift, I'm not going to look like an 8-foot tall Sasquatch.
Naked, hairy dude?
No.
Walking in the woods?
Everybody describes as smelling like sulfur.
Sulfur, huh?
Yeah, that's what they say.
Like from...
Smells like...
the pits of hell?
Or some butt stink. You ever had...
Either one. Butt stink and sulfur are two different things.
Got some leaky faucets.
No, you ever had some spicy food? Pretty sulfuric. The farts are gross.
Yes, big time.
So?
Shrouded Realities, poop. That's our show.
Every episode.
Stink. Shrouded Realities, meat.
I do want to clear that up while you're bringing it up.
Yeah.
Because you threw it out on social media this week.
I know what you're talking about.
I don't want to stick rocks up my butt.
He doesn't want to stick rocks up his butt. You implied
that I want to stick rocks up my butt.
I didn't imply.
Did you just say the word?
He's the one that did.
Did you just say the word stick?
Huh? Stick?
Rocks up my butt.
Stickers?
Oh
Making
man, dadgum.
Good
I miss his segue.
Yeah, good timing.
That is a good segue right there.
That's a good point because we really need to get back on topic because we got to talk about poops
Yeah,
and farts and big
And rocks and butts.
Yeah.
and rocks and butts.
And I love that we still didn't give him any kind of time to explain that. We're just like, oh yeah, let's go on
We're
to
taking
something
it
else.
away. We're gonna rob
Joey-
that. We're gonna rob that from him.
Joey definitely uses rocks in weird ways.
As long as everybody knows I don't put rocks in my butt. We can move on.
ShroudedRealities.com. We have a website. On that website, we have cool things. We've got links to all of our media and all the different places that we have it.
We got
Spotify, YouTube,
Bible
Patreon.
verses. We got Bible verses on there.
We got one.
We got a testimonial.
We got one. We got one of those too.
Yep.
I mean, we're doing something. That's two things right there. Boom.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a YouTube that everybody should be watching on right now, and if you're not, you should be on something else that you should click the subscribe button on.
Mm-hmm.
It's really easy.
Yep. And guess what? If you find us on YouTube, which most people do, you can find us also on Spotify, so you can listen to us in the car.
Yeah, or Apple, or Amazon. I mean, we're on all of them.
What are some of the other ones? I don't even know the names of the other ones.
Yeah,
we're on so many things I don't even know the names of them.
So you can't hide from us.
That's right.
True. We're everywhere.
We're everywhere.
Not really, because if we were everywhere, we'd get thrown on the algorithm a little bit.
You know where we are though?
Mm-hmm.
We're in that merch store.
Okay, we got the merch store.
You don't know that? We're in that merch store. We got shirts.
Yep.
A shirt.
We got a couple of them. We're probably about to throw them on sale.
Yep.
Everybody needs to grab one once they do.
That's true. We'll put those on sale, and I'm claiming it. I say this many, many times.
Yeah.
We're going to get more stickers. I'm going to order those this week.
I've kind of made them a big deal.
We're going to make that happen.
I've kind of made them a big deal.
Because stickers are great.
They're really... It's a new thing. Yeah. You guys know this. We're trying to really get there. I mean, the chemicals that they use, they're probably fallen angel technology. We've discussed that before too. Chemicals.
So we need to keep selling them then?
Everything is. Everything derives from that. Metallurgy.
The
internet. All of it. It's probably part of it. So you can either go live under a rock.
Mm-hmm.
Don't use Joey's rock.
Stop.
But we've got...
Very smooth.
Yeah.
Solid.
But you know what
Solid transition there.
That was. I'll
give that one
you
to
can you can put stickers on rocks too.
Yeah.
You can put them on anything. That's the cool thing about them.
We're gonna have a rocky sticker.
Yeah.
Or a sticker rock.
A sticker rock.
Okay.
That's what we need to bring in. You said we needed some knickknacks on the table. We're gonna bring a rock.
Joey's rock.
The smoothest of rocks.
The smoothest rock, and I'm going to slap a sticker.
It's so smooth it looks wet.
It's not going to be a phallic shaped rock. I promise you that.
Okay. That creek I was talking about, I'm gonna just go there today and just find the most phallic looking rock I can find.
And we'll sell it on the side.
No, we're not going to sell it. It's going to sit right here on the table just for everybody. Yeah, everybody to see.
I want to move past that.
I know you do.
Yep.
That's why I keep talking about it.
We're going to keep beating that rock.
So, till what? Finish that sentence.
Never mind.
Okay.
Anyway,
right,
let's get back into Bible stuff.
I'm throwing it out, reeling it.
Yeah. Good segue, Connor.
Good segue. I don't know how to segue out of that back into biblical theology.
Well, we're not in theology. Let's back up.
Yeah,
here's theology. We're somewhere outside this room. We're not anywhere close to that.
But we're trying to find it.
Yeah.
We're trying to find it.
We're trying to find it, but we're talking about things that aren't even in the Bible. We're talking about Enoch and whatever else we got over here.
Yeah,
so, I mean,
that's true.
It's not biblical.
That's true.
Enoch, the pseudepigrapha, didn't think I could do it. I did it again.
Twice.
You can say that, but you can't say the word Genesis.
In the book of Genesis.
Have y'all seen the guy in the Benin gang? In the Benin gang. He cannot get in the beginning down. That's how I am with Genesis, obviously. Where was I going with that? What was I saying?
Something about texts being not right or not being in the Bible or something.
I don't know. Let's just move on.
Yeah.
Somebody else do something. I don't even know what I was talking about.
I don't know. So the sons of God do tie into Nephilim. They're right there in the same passages together in Genesis, but then they also talk about sons of God and giants in multiple different places in the Bible.
Yeah.
Sons of God in particular. Let's talk about the Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego verse.
Yeah, that's something that kind of got both of us yesterday.
Yep.
You brought it up, and I'm like, well, clearly that was Jesus in the fire. You know, that's what everybody I've talked to has said forever. Every sermon I've ever sat through about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego has always been that.
Yep.
And then you're like, no, it's not what it says.
Yeah.
Like, of course it is.
It kind of does, but again, this is another one of those things that sets up multiple theories based on how it's translated.
Right.
I'm not going to go through the whole story, but we know the story where Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego defied the king. He tried to get them to bow down to the king. They said, piss off, we're not doing it. And they...
What if that's actually what they said?
Yeah.
Piss off,
piss
man.
off, piss off, king.
You wanker.
Yeah, dang wanker. And he
It's
said,
the worst accents ever.
He said, all right, crank the heat up. We're going to burn you. And they throw him in this big giant furnace. It was so hot that it burned the people. It killed the people that tossed them into the furnace. We all know that
You
story.
mentioned you're working a job.
Like, throw them in there. Dude,
Nah.
for real. No, you know how hot that is?
Yo,
It's really
No,
hot.
do it.
I can
Dang
feel the
it.
heat from here.
My hair is melting.
So the verse 25, and here's where the translation gets murky and makes it questionable. 25, and this is the king talking, says, look, he answered, and he says, I see 4 men loose walking in the midst of the fire, and they are not hurt. We all know that part. And the form of the 4th one is like the Son of God.
The son or the sons?
I'm getting there. So I read that from the New King James Version. It says the Son of God. It doesn't say the Son of God. It says like the Son of God. So even
Big or G? What G are we talking?
big S, big G. So it says,
Okay.
New King James Version saying that's Jesus, but it also says it's like the Son of God, like the Jesus.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
The
So
Jesus.
here's where
the Jesus.
here's where it gets really, really, really weird.
Yeah.
So regular King James Version says the 4th is like the Son of God. Okay, so King James Version both ways the same. Let's go NIV version. NIV version says scrolling. And the 4th look like sons of the God, or a son of the gods. And the 4th looks like a son of the gods. Both little s and little g.
Yes.
So NIV's like flipped it completely different from both King James
Those
versions.
are completely different things there.
Yep. Completely different.
But who is the one that is saying the words?
The king.
The king is saying those words,
Yep.
who clearly was not a believer
Yep.
of the Son of God,
Yep.
right? So his understanding would probably only be with little s, little g's.
Yep. So he was probably worshiping a
His
false god.
description of that would have been son of the gods.
Yep.
Because that's what
What
his
he understood.
understanding would be at that point. So to
Makes
me,
sense.
that would make more sense as a translation
Mm-hmm.
if you're referencing what the king would understand at the time,
That's right.
to me.
And this was before Jesus. So
Well, yeah.
Daniel was Old Testament, so it was before Jesus came.
Yeah.
So even
Before he came to earth,
right,
Jesus was there.
Yeah.
But just not here
kind of.
in physical form.
Yeah.
He wasn't like just born and then
Yeah,
he
there
existed
were
after that.
prophecies of Jesus, but he
Well,
wasn't here
on
on Earth
planet Earth.
in human form.
Yes.
That's right.
Got you. Okay.
So
For everybody else, like it wasn't that Jesus was born and then he existed after that. He existed all around forever.
yeah,
Yeah.
he was part of the Trinity,
Yes.
part of the Triune.
Mhm.
Oh, Father, Son, Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
Um.
Didn't want anybody to throw shade at theology here of like, well, Jesus was actually born and then he existed after that. And
Yeah.
then the Trinity, no, let's not get in that muddy stuff.
Yeah. That's the hard part about talking biblical theology stuff is there's
You're
so
trying to make somebody
many
mad.
different beliefs.
You're going to make somebody mad.
Somebody's gonna get
Guaranteed
mad. Somebody's
that-
gonna get mad over this.
100%.
100%.
Yeah. I expect that
Faux
conversation to
shit.
That
pop up.
translation's garbage.
Well,
Don't
you
read
can't
that.
use the NIV because the NIV means not entirely
Verifiable.
verifiable.
And I could, what was it you said? What was you said on a previous episode? You can correct the Greek with
Yeah.
King James version.
We've got to do a King James episode. Somebody write that down. That is one that I want to do on how good King James as a human was. Spoiler alert, he wasn't.
Really?
Yeah, King James was a garbage man.
That would mess up a lot of Western Christianity.
Yeah, well, the fact that the preacher, I don't know what denomination he was, he stood up and he said, with this Bible right here, I can correct the Greek. And he's holding a King James Version Bible. Like, no, you can't, because that's what they were speaking at the time.
Yeah.
So how are you going to be better than what Jesus was actually saying? But whatever.
Yeah. So anyway, back to this, like,
I can correct
there's
the Greek.
multiple times where they're talking about sons of God.
Right.
And this was one of them.
Job was
So-
another one.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if these fallen angels had just had that angelic look to them.
One of the thoughts I heard was that angels and sons of God were two different types of being in heaven.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not the same.
Because angels are not human form or human shaped.
The fallen angels would be known as more the watchers, and angels are more of messengers. So they serve different roles. Yep, they serve different roles. They live in a different hierarchy, and their relationship with God and us is different.
I've got a little bit of a breakdown in regular people speak of kind of the Book of Enoch. The start of it, God sends a group of 200 angelic type beings who help guide and instruct humanity, according to the Book of Enoch.
Okay. And that was God's plan. He let them do that.
According to the Book of Enoch.
Right.
We're not saying that is what happened or not. This is just how that worked. 200 angels are called Irin in Aramaic, or Edgar
Allan Poe.
Yeah, Edgar Allan Poe,
Yep.
Agoragai in Greek. Both of these words mean guardian or watchers.
Yep.
The watchers then, they do bad stuff. They're like, hey, we're going to have sex with that woman. And they also teach us things we shouldn't know.
So do you think that they could go between earth and heaven during that time?
Maybe. Or were they sent here and they were already here?
And then they did the dirty deeds.
Could they then be considered the mighty men of old?
Of course. And that's kind of the consensus.
Could they be the mighty men that they were talking about
Mm-hmm.
in Genesis 6:4?
Yep.
That were here before us and after.
Because they were already put here.
So maybe they existed before that.
Yep.
Don't know. Just a thought.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
They taught us things we shouldn't know. Evil arts they gave to humans.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting ones.
Here we go.
Sorcery,
Mm-hmm.
astrology,
Mm-hmm.
the art of war.
Okay.
All those things are bad. This is the worst one.
Mm-hmm.
Cosmetology.
Makeup.
It's basically Skyrim.
Yeah,
Skyrim.
exactly. It is Skyrim. They then had sex with women. The word Nephilim is plural in Hebrew and refers to the words to fall down. So Nephilim are considered the fallen.
Mm-hmm.
So if we read Genesis 6:4, the Nephilim were here before and afterwards. Would that describe that verse?
Yep.
To me, it would.
Yeah.
Maybe they were here before. Maybe they were here afterwards. Not these particular ones, because they were, as we're about to find out, locked away in a very bad
Specific.
place
Was
until Judgment Day.
What was
Very
the name?
specific place.
What's the name of that place?
So, Tartarus is what keeps being said, and that
Tartarus.
Tartarus is a Greek word, a Greek mythological word.
Sounds
actually.
sounds like a metal polish.
It kind of sounds like
It's like a
something that you
sausage.
should have with fish.
Yeah.
Some Tartarus sauce. um,
It's solid.
But Homer, he described Tartarus as the deepest, darkest part of the underworld, far below Hades. They also say that Tartarus is so far below Hades, it's the same distance as we are from heaven to Hades.
Shit.
So Tartarus
Interesting.
would be further away from Hades as we are from heaven, is how they describe it. That's how
Okay.
deep and dark that is.
Yeah.
Interesting Greek myth, Zeus and the Titans, they fight each other for 10 years, I think is what it was.
Mhm.
Once Zeus defeats the Titans, he locks them away in a dungeon called Tartarus forever.
So
Kind of interesting.
So the Greeks used the same word,
The same
for-
word
a bad place down below.
that Zeus did.
It's also in the Bible.
That's also, yes, that word is in the Bible.
Yep.
later in the Bible, Jude and Peter both reference Tartarus. 2 Peter, let me find where it is. 2 Peter 2:4, for if God did not spare the angels when they sinned, but cast them into Tartarus and committed them to chains of the deepest darkness to keep until judgment. So Enoch uses Tartarus.
Yep.
Peter uses Tartarus. Jude uses Tartarus. That is kind of interesting to me, the intermingling of Greek mythology and
these are all three
biblical
different authors, probably at different times.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Enoch is widely considered to be 200 BC is when it was written. So 200 years before Christ is when they're saying that was written. These other two would have been, well, Jude, I'm not sure. Yeah, it would have been because Jude was apostle. So yeah, Jude and Peter would have been after Christ using those words.
And the fact that wasn't changed,
over time. Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
So is Tartarus the same or translated the same as hell? Or you think that's a different place?
It's under hell, supposedly, according to this. Now, I don't know if that's according to Greek myth or what. It's the deepest darkness is what Jude says. Okay. It's what it says in Peter as well. So it's way under hell from what they're saying here.
Yeah.
Is where they're locked up. But yeah, that's just a synopsis of Enoch. Definitely go read it if you want to know more than about cosmetology and Tartarus. Tartarus sauce.
Didn't a show that we listened to just release a Blurry Creatures? Didn't they make a Book of Enoch that they put out with good commentary?
They actually have a Book of Enoch, with references and things like that you can go back and forth on. Yeah, I haven't bought it yet, and I really need to because we're doing stuff like this pretty regular, and context would be great for most of these things.
Yeah.
Rather than listening to some old bearded dude that's telling me about all these things.
Yeah.
Research myself.
It's hard, though. That's kind of why we, just for full disclosure, have a hard time talking about biblical stuff on this show. We did it early, but we studied for like a month before we did our first episode, the topic was the Watchers and stuff, and we studied for a good solid month. Well, our setup is we pick a topic, we study it for a week, we come talk about it. Whenever we pick a biblical subject, it's like, I can't learn this in a week.
There's a little more pressure on that, I think, for me, because you don't want to be wrong.
Yeah, you want to get
it right. I do hedge a little bit in these conversations more than I would in others, because you don't want to lead somebody off.
Right.
I have no desire to lead somebody away from what the actual gospel says because of what something else said.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. That's not my point of any of this.
What was it? 2 Peter talked about don't get caught up in the...
It was Paul.
Was it Paul?
Yeah, don't get caught up in the genealogies and the mythologies that are in the Bible. Not in the Bible, but
just I guess in the world.
In general. Just don't get locked up on things that don't really matter.
Yeah.
These are interesting topics.
They are.
They don't dictate what my faith is one way or the other.
I have found, though, studying these topics help explain things better and help me pick out evils in the world quicker and easier because I'm kind of seeing where...
Gives it a frame, I guess.
Yeah, it gives it a point of reference other than just being a bad guy or a demon.
Yeah.
They're bad guys and demons, but if you kind of start to understand and connect the dots on where they came from, it makes it a lot... To me, it makes it... It gives me a strength and shield to defend myself against that sort of thing.
Sure. Yeah.
And I think that's why it's important to look into these things. And I know we're speaking in question like we do in most episodes.
This is more so. I can definitely feel that I've said more questions than answers.
But this could be just for the viewer too to think about.
Well, and I want these people to, whoever's listening to it, I want you to go research some of this stuff. I mean, I may have opinions that I'm not willing to say here as much because I really don't want to lead somebody wrong. And I am fully open to my opinion being completely incorrect. And every time, like I said earlier, every time I watch something different, I'm like, well, yeah, that adds up. And that's why I struggle with being a confident word in most of these things.
Yeah. And also, it's like, for context, all the people who are like very confident, it's like they get burnt down by other people. Like, the one thing changes and their entire ideology crumbles because they're so confident in the I don't want to say the lies, but the script, some of the other books that just aren't collaborated with other texts.
Yeah. And
exactly.
I had that happen today. I was listening to a podcast with Dr. Laura Singer, who we want to get on the show. And she was...
do y'all know that he wants Laura Singer?
Yeah, Laura Singer.
You better tag her in this.
I really do. And I'm fixing to disagree with her, so I hope this doesn't hurt her case.
Too bad. You're out.
She's talking for like an hour and a half on stuff, and she's bringing up things and like, yes, nailed it. Oh, yes. Oh, that makes sense. Okay, yes. And then she gets to talking about the devil physically raping women and making them have babies with a third genome. Instead of a double helix, triple helix, and she gets into a lot of that stuff, and I'm like, boy, she's kooky now, and so it makes me like question. But
she's context for those words.
She's also, I want to bring her on, and ask her. She's also done a lot more research than we have.
Can I say that that's inaccurate? No, but can I say that it's accurate? No,
probably, yeah. So, but she may know something we don't. You know what I mean? Like, because she's actually put in the time to study it. So, but
you can't really just say that
point,
though.
Yeah,
without,
at the point
like,
of her saying it, I'm like, I don't know.
Without
sounds
really
super kooky.
Like, okay, I'm about to say something crazy, but I'll back it up. You got to say that before you just like, the devil's raping women. Yeah. It's like, you can't just throw that in.
And she did, but it's, the first time you hear it, it gets a little like, oh, crap. You know what I mean?
Like, where am I at?
Yeah.
How far did I go?
Yeah. So that's kind of one of those situations of, some people make a lot of sense, but sometimes they don't. You know what I mean? And the only way to work through that question and have your own knowledge to defend yourself against it and to believe the right thing that God wants us to believe is to do your own research, do your own study. Generate your own opinions based off your own study.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, you want to wrap it up now? We got everybody good and confused.
We got to wrap it up.
Since we got everybody good and confused.
Yep.
Appreciate you listening. If you made it this far, if you didn't and your brain's melting and completely understand, because mine is too.
Yeah. No, we definitely understand what's going on because for a week I've been staring at this with drool dripping out of my mouth. Yeah.
I like this though. This is a fun one for me.
I do too. It is fun. It's fun to consider all of the different angles of some of this and
get you in the Bible, get you thinking.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. That's the point.
I think it needs to be a point of reading all of the different translations.
Yeah.
Golly. That's a statement. Reading all the different translations?
I mean, like, not like reading the entirety of it, but like definitely tapping into them.
Yeah.
Hebrew, go back and learn Hebrew and do that.
Yeah.
I know people that's doing that. It's possible.
Yeah, it is possible.
So, anyway, do your own research. For Stephen, Connor, Joey, and Ruby, the podcast dog. Thanks for listening.